my BA 6543 Moscow.
Yes, sir.
You would never have found him through his office, Mr. President. Our premier is a man of the people, but he is also a man, if you follow my meaning.
Degenerate atheist.
What did you say?
I said Premier Kisov is a degenerate atheist.
Mr. President, I formally request that you have this ignorant brute.
I'm sorry,
Mr. President, I think they're trying the number.
You filthy bully, you filthy guy! I've tasted your ass before, eh? You war mustering for it.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Oh, so damn good.
Yeah, it was bad.
Well, hello, everybody. How's everyone doing today?
It's Saturday.
I like it. We're all super excited about this episode of the Third Party Podcast.
I'm here.
Hey, guys, thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Third Party Podcast. We are doing something a little different today, and I believe it was the last episode we had done pretty much all news, and we weren't able to get squeeze the War Room in. So this week we are featuring exclusively the War Room, and we are coming to bat with our best, our favorite video game franchises. Now, as always, if you're listening in on this and you guys have your own ideas of what the best video game franchise is, we still love you, but go ahead and put those in the comments so we know how wrong you guys are.
We can tell you're wrong.
Exactly. So when we get into the video game franchises, we're talking about things with pretty expansive universes, multiple games, maybe some spin-off projects, things like that. And I'm just going to preview what each of us is going to be talking about, and then I suppose we'll see who wants to take it over first. I am going to be talking about the obvious fan favorite, Halo. The Halo universe. That's what I'm going to be digging into. Master Chief. We're going to be talking about the Noble Team. We're going to be talking about the movies, the spin-off show in that alternate timeline universe that no one cares about. And
Like, finally, I get to talk about this. I've only been mentioning it every episode.
I've been so excited to talk about Halo, and I know I'm going to just bomb this episode, too. Because that's exactly how karma works for me.
You got to win one, though, right?
Like, all three of our franchises starts good and then just gets progressively worse.
Yeah, it tapers
And then
off.
you have an upkick.
I was going to say, I got a real good beginning, a real crappy middle, and a real good end.
Oh, my gosh. But I think that if I could come to a war room with a singular example of something that could win, this is it.
That's probably true.
If Halo can't win as the number one franchise, it's all on me. It's all because I am a bad salesperson when it comes to the shit.
But now that you said that out of spite, I hope people don't vote for you.
Right.
But
Someone's going to be like, Animal Crossing is so much better.
oh my
Yeah, you gotta put other now at the bottom for the vote and put Animal Crossing,
Oh.
and that will win.
If Animal Crossing wins in the comments, guys, we got
to get a different fan base. We got to shut down the channel and start
50
over.
If you're new to the channel,
60,
please,
you could unsubscribe.
if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I need you. I need you so bad. But then we have Cody's top pick, which would be, if you haven't changed it since the last time we discussed, Assassin's Creed. Is that
I
what
just
you're
changed it
bringing?
the last 5 seconds because you mentioned that.
Oh, well, I mean, I got to give the audience a taste of what we're going to be talking about.
No, Assassin's Creed.
Assassin's Creed is actually going to be really good.
Yeah.
I think that'll be fun to talk about. Plus, I know you have a pretty deep understanding of that lore and that history, too, so it'll be
I've played and beaten every game. Some of them through sheer fucking will.
Yeah,
but
Wheel?
Wheel.
Through sheer
Sheer
willpower.
wheel.
Stone wheel. And then Slim's got, I think, drumroll. No, I'm just kidding. Resident Evil.
Yep, the Resident Evil series. I've ignored the movies and shows like they're not there because they're not, and enjoyed the games.
They are part of the franchise universe.
Not in my mind.
They're part of the Rebel Alliance. And
Not
a
in
traitor.
my head
Take them
canon.
away.
I've never seen it. It doesn't exist.
They're part of the Umbrella Corporation and a traitor.
But oh, look, it's not there.
Well, I think we just jump right into it. The reason I got on with Halo is because I actually started Halo at Halo 3.
Same.
Halo
same
1
here.
came out in 2001, then you had the anniversary set, and then the sequel game. So based on the original trilogy, I actually started at the end of the original trilogy with Halo 3. And
It's a good game to start on, though.
oh, it's a fantastic
It's a good
game
game.
to start on.
The best.
It probably is the best one.
Well, and I was playing it on Xbox 360 when it was out, and I went back and I couldn't find Halo 1 for Xbox 360. I could only find it for Xbox, the original Xbox console.
Yep, at that time, yeah.
Yeah, and so I had to find it on PC because it was a PC-friendly game.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So I played
that was
Halo.
a Microsoft exclusive kind
Yeah.
So I played Halo 3, then I played Halo 1, And Halo 2 was actually a nightmare to find. I didn't play Halo 2 for a long, long time. But eventually I found it, Xbox, I think it was Xbox One, that did a backwards compatibility list. That
The Master Chief collection.
Yeah.
Which didn't really work when it first came out.
No, that game was buggy. That game was buggy, but it was the culmination of everything that was
And
Master
it
Chief.
took up your entire hard drive.
Yeah, it was huge.
Back then, which was like 16 gigs. So.
Yeah, it took all 16 gigs
It took
of
all
the game.
16 of them.
Well, Halo was on the incline. Even after the original Halo trilogy ended, you still had so much story that the fans wanted to know. They wanted to know everything about the universe. Who were the Forerunners? Who were the what was the origin of the Flood? What was all of this information that we really didn't get a lot of? And
right after Halo 3 has my personal favorite, even though it's more of an expansion than anything, is ODST. Halo 3 ODST. I fucking love that shit.
Halo 3 ODST was a game I made every effort to try and enjoy. The first level of that mission or of that game is nightmarically poorly
It's terrible.
poorly put together.
That
and
first
assembled.
mission is awful. I
Okay,
think.
yeah.
And
First
then
time
after
going
that, it
in,
gets good.
it's pretty bad. But after you know the level, it's like, all right, I just need to go
not
here
so
and do
bad.
this.
Once you just suck it
suffer
up,
through that first
Buttercup.
one.
Yeah, suck
Um,
it up, Buttercup, and play the game.
I gotta ask, because this was my favorite game because I love RTSs. Did you guys ever play Halo Wars?
I know the story of
I
Halo
fucked around
Wars.
with the first one for a
I
little
really
bit.
like them.
I know the story of Halo Wars, but RTS games, the only RTS game that I really loved, I mean genuinely loved, was the Command & Conquer franchise.
I remember you seeing that. Yeah,
Those
yeah.
were the only games that were RTS that I genuinely loved. Then there was some Stronghold games that I really enjoyed
those
too.
are good.
But Halo Wars, I understand the story. It's more of like a side running narrative.
It's a prequel, and it's
Yeah.
when all the there's actual armies of Spartans, so you get like an army of Spartans one mission. But me and my older brother really loved that game, and we played it a lot and like online competitive, and we got actually pretty high ranked in that too because he was a lot better than me, but we both played it a lot, and that game was really fun.
No, the Halo War games are actually surprisingly well received, which is weird because you didn't target an RTS fan base.
No, you really didn't.
I
think it's because it was so well balanced. Nothing was obnoxiously.
Yeah, you got to
one
bring in
strategy.
RTS fans and first-person shooter fans,
Yeah.
because that's what your whole franchise is.
So the audience generally probably understands what a first-person shooter is, but RTS, that's real-time strategy.
Yep.
So that's more of a cameras aiming down, you're commanding troops into different positions and arranging them around the map to be successful in the
building
game.
an economy. It's
so-
micromanaging and macromanaging armies and economy and stuff like that. It's a lot.
It's a lot more strategy.
Yeah,
that's what I was.
strategic.
I was reading some of the books at the time too, so I was like more into the lore because I'm not a fan of RTS at all. But I was
Same,
like,
yeah.
I want to get through this game so I can get the lore and whatnot.
Yeah. So just for the audience who aren't aware of RTS, I just wanted to throw that little tidbit out there, make sure that everyone can follow along. But the Halo story has done, even with 343 Industries, taking over from Bungie, who were the original developers of the Halo trilogy. The story has still done a pretty good job of remaining intact. Like, they've still done the Halo universe story. There's arguments about whether it's been done well or not, but everything is still tying back to references. All of the plot points are still lining up with each other. The games are still games, whether they're good or bad.
That is a fact.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
games
it's a
are
game.
still games.
But I do think that there's a lot of criticism that can be levied at 343 for what they have turned Halo into. They've turned it from Halo was a very competitive game. There was a huge multiplayer scene when it first launched.
On 3, I believe, is where it started. It was
Well, 2
enormous.
was really popular, and 3 came out and it was just more refined.
Yeah, but the Halo trilogy was you hang out with your friends, you play cooperative, or you play the storyline, you take turns. I mean, it was the couch gamer's dream.
That's how I started it. Me
Yeah.
and my brother basically loved Halo, and he's like, oh, we'll sit down, let's beat all 3, because during summer when we were in college, we both went back home to live with my parents, and we worked. And so we'd have every night, we're like, well, let's beat all 3 Halos. So we sat on the couch after work and beat all the Halos.
It's awesome. It's
It
one
was
of the
fun.
only games it's one of the only games where you were really intent, unless you were on the PlayStation, which the PlayStation was actually a better game in my opinion for cooperative games. I think
better
there was
console.
for console.
I was like,
Better
it
console.
wasn't on PlayStation.
We can all.
No,
I
no.
think almost everyone could agree that PlayStation 2 is probably one of the best consoles ever. So.
Definitely. And more specifically, I think there was a better selection of games on the
Yes, I
PlayStation
think
2
so
that
too.
allowed for a cooperative gameplay experience, which is my favorite thing that video games had for me when I was younger. Now, if you want to play games with your friends, you have to literally do it from houses away.
Not only
And
that,
so-
it sucks. Not only that, you have to have Xbox Live. You can't
Yep.
even play single-player games not hooked to the internet or live anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah, a lot of games are
So
online
obnoxious.
only, even
So
if it's
terrible.
a single player game.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah.
And that's really frustrating because
They want
And-
that data. That
Yeah.
sweet data.
Sweet update.
So we can
28
finish our
gigs. Yeah.
well, and Halo was Halo and the entire gaming industry has really gone away from the cooperative
It really has.
collaborative gameplay with your friends. Unless you're playing a multiplayer game online, you're not playing with your friends anymore. You're just playing solo games. And a lot of games aren't even still including campaigns anymore. You had Titanfall back in 2012,
Love that game.
2013, which was very fun. But they got lambasted, and their game's fall off was huge because they did not have any substantive material beyond pretty damn impressive mechanics.
They were really
But there was
unique.
once you've done the mechanics, the game is done. You've played the game, and not everyone had friends who was trying to play that game.
They remedied that with 2, though.
Yeah, the
2 had a really
single-player
good
game was
campaign.
awesome.
And really good.
Right.
They made you got feelings for a robot, not like just buddy feelings.
Yeah, you have bromance with your robot.
Yeah, it was big bromance.
But I mean, you have Fortnite. You have Apex Legends, I would suppose. Battle Royale style
Battle
games.
Royale.
Yeah,
Royales.
it's fucking everywhere.
PUBG.
Most young people are playing those, and they're playing collaboratively online with their buddies if they can find queues. But no one is playing together anymore, and you logistically can't. Just a nightmare to do so. And I think Halo really excelled at bringing that you and your friends have things to do together gameplay. Because if it wasn't a cooperative campaign, then it was the waves of survival. And Halo did Forge World. Halo brought to the game Forge World, which, I mean, all of us have played Forge World.
For hours on end.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
you here.
Yeah.
And Colton beat the crap out of us.
Yeah, so a guest of the channel, a friend of the channel, we played Halo together, and we played Forge World.
Dumpstered us for 2 hours.
Yeah, there was a bunch of updates to the game, and he just kept we would be building our bases, and he would fly
Dumpstered
a
us
pelican
for
into
2
us,
hours.
and it has a shield so it wouldn't die, but we'd just get squished.
Yeah.
But Halo did so much to bring that experience to people, and for all of the flaws that Halo has had since, with, Halo Infinite to me was the final straw.
I didn't even play the campaign. I was just purely in the multiplayer, but the progression was so fucking bad. And to get like bonus XPs or whatnot, you had to do shit you never normally would have done.
Yeah.
So it's not even let you play the way you want to play.
And the maps weren't even that great. A lot of multiplayer
Well, there's
games.
like 3 of them.
Yeah. A lot of multiplayer games are going for realism in their maps versus just good gameplay. It's infuriating. Modern Warfare 2 had this problem. I think the maps in Modern Warfare 2 were
The remake?
horrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they were terrible. I wanted to let you guys kind of have some time because I'm hogging up a lot of the time. But
Well, it's your fucking franchise.
yeah. Well, so just I want to hand out the weaknesses of Halo before I want to just kind of pitch out the weaknesses of Halo real quick. The television show was a show I suffered through. I tortured myself watching that show, and it was worse than I could possibly describe. There are not words that can explain the amount of torment I felt watching that garbage.
But you got to see Master Chief's butt.
Well, I mean, everyone wanted that.
Yeah.
But it was
That was number 1 on my checklist,
was-
actually. If they're going to make a TV show, I need to see that ass.
but
You
it was
turned
a-
it off the second you said
I
it.
was like,
Not
"Oh, I'm
what
good."
I needed.
You know what I love in the Halo universe? Politics. Just
Fuck
love
yeah.
politics. It was the best part of the
What,
show.
trade negotiations?
Oh man, no, it was a doctor who wasn't allowed to do experiments and shit. So
Yeah.
I won't. We won't go into that. That's a bad thing.
That's kind of like the thing with Halo Reach, though.
Yeah.
Or was it Reach?
Infinite.
No, where they introduced that doctor.
Reach was
Halsey?
with all
Halsey.
the Spartans
That's
and each
4.
one of them got picked off, right?
Yep.
That's such a good game.
Oh no, yeah.
That had bromance in it too, and you're like,
Yeah.
no, because you get sniped or whatever.
The Cody.
Everyone dies.
Cody, you're thinking of Halo 4,
Am I?
which is when Halsey was introduced. And I thought Halo 4 was good and enjoyable. I thought it was a decent pickup to the franchise, but Halo Reach, in my opinion, is a masterpiece.
I like that game.
It's It's the perfect campaign. It is an amazingly deep story with phenomenal characters and phenomenal character diversity among the
Yeah,
characters.
They
unique
make you care about
characters.
him real quick because you're like, they start getting dying. You're like, no.
They
He's
put-
like,
yeah.
have a good ride. Like, take care of him when he crashes that ship into the scare. You're like, no.
They Halo Reach. Halo Reach. I see memes online of people being like, "Remember Reach," and I'm like, "Damn, bro."
There were people.
I get them feels.
There were people thinking there was a secret ending where the last mission is just survive, and people would play that for hours and hours on end, just surviving.
Yeah.
It's like there's no way.
There's
can't.
no way
You
that
can't.
that was it.
Eventually,
You could probably play it
in a week.
forever if you never shut off your console.
Yeah.
Well, and if you had if you played it on PC, I think there was console
You could do
commands you could
commands,
use to
probably.
erase
Survive.
bad guys. Because there's a lot of there's a
Or to
few
make
videos
yourself
online.
Invincible.
Yeah, there's a few players online who did who were doing trick shots and map exploration outside of the Halo Reach survive mission on the way off in the
yeah.
map design. There's a statue of Master Chief just existing out there in the fog. And so players were like, that can't possibly be there. And so they were exploring, trying to figure out how to get there. They were blowing up stuff and flying. They were
doing
finding flying
rocket
glitches,
tricks or
rocket
something,
tricks.
yeah.
They were jumping on ships that were off in the distance, landing on the physical ship.
Well, that's not even lore friendly. Reach is the first invasion.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Chief wasn't even doing his thing around that time.
you're correct. Because I think the Noble team were one of the first
One of
batches
the
of
first,
Spartans.
because if I remember, Chief comes over the intercom, I think at the very end, doesn't he? And he says, he's here or something like that. I remember. I haven't played
I'll
the
need
game.
to
in
No need to fear.
years.
I am
I'll need to
here.
play it again.
Years, but
I think there's a movie that they. I think it's the Fall of Reach. The
the movie is
movie.
like a live
Live action.
Like people, I've seen that movie. It's pretty good. And then
I
Chief
think-
shows up.
Yeah, I think
That's
that's what
pretty
you're
good.
referring to. Because Chief comes back to Reach.
Yep.
And I think
seen
that's
that movie.
fantastic.
It's pretty good.
But
Or was that Forward Unto Dawn?
Forward
That's the
Unto
one with the
Dawn-
students, right?
Forward
like
Unto
the
Dawn.
academy?
Yeah, they're all like in the academy, and then the academy gets attacked, and
Yep.
then like the aliens are like going through
Right.
the hall, and it's like all foggy, and it's like this is kind of fucking scary, actually.
The Halo movies were probably B and C tier. I mean, there was definitely a lot
yeah.
to be missed. There
Low
was definitely
budget.
a lot of low
They're-
budget.
You know, it was low budget and low tier actors, but they still did a good job.
The premise and the execution.
The
for-
aliens look good.
Considering the resources they had, they did an amazing job.
Yeah.
These are good, and these are like 90-minute, 60-minute.
Yeah, they're
movies.
short.
If you wanted to check them out as a listener, they're worth finding and
Yeah.
worth watching, especially if you do love Halo as a universe. It's definitely lore that you want to see. Lore that you can get away without seeing is the show. All right. Cody, do you want to take on Assassin's Creed next?
I suppose. Yeah, I mean, first one came back in 07, so your franchise is already going strong.
Yeah, 2001 is when Halo 1 kicks off.
Yeah. Assassin's Creed 1 was originally supposed to be a Prince of Persia game, but for some reason they scrapped it and they're like, let's just do our own thing. And so they made that, which it was received pretty well, but it's very repetitive mission design and whatnot. You're basically either tailing someone, beating up someone to get information. It's all about getting information and then taking out the target.
Okay.
But it's good. The atmosphere is good. You're in like 1140s, Middle East. Decent setup. Now 2 is when the franchise really kicks off with Ezio Auditore as your protagonist. So you get 2, 3, and 4, or 2 Brotherhood and Revelations with Ezio, and 2 is considered the best game in the series. Probably not because of its mechanics, because they are a little outdated. But the story with Ezio and whatnot is good. And,
What's your favorite game?
Oh, you'll get to it.
Okay.
oh yeah, I know your favorite game too.
Spoiler alerts. If you want to know more about what Slim's favorite choice is, hit the like button. All right, go ahead, Cody.
but yeah, you finish up the Ezio trilogy, and it's very bare bone mechanics. This is in the early 2010s and whatnot. Then you get Assassin's Creed 3 with the Native American
My favorite.
during the Revolution. And they updated some stuff, not that big. It was more like traversal mechanics and whatnot. It's starting to get a little repetitive.
Well, one of my biggest criticisms of Assassin's Creed when I first tried getting on was the movement mechanics. I thought climbing things and moving around was an interesting idea, but I would struggle so hard. You have to aim the camera at it in order to climb up stuff.
Yeah, it's a little finicky in the first couple games. And then they streamlined it later where you just hold RT and run up shit.
Yeah, and I think that Assassin's Creed's mechanics have obviously improved significantly. One question I wanted to ask you about was Assassin's Creed 1 coming out in 2007. That would have put it up against Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the first one.
Yeah, this is the start of the new generation with 360 and whatnot.
So, I mean, do you think it lost some oxygen sitting next to Call of Duty on the
probably.
shelves?
That game was like S tier. Everyone was playing it level. Like, I didn't even know of Assassin's Creed until I went to my stepbrother's house and he had it. And then we just run on top of rooftops forever and not even play the fucking game.
What story?
Yeah, there's a story. But it was getting a little stale. And so they're like, hey, fuck it. Let's go be pirates.
That was interesting marketing. That was really cool. They got really into like the three-dimensional, because that was one of the major trailers that was unleashed on the Unreal Engine, right? Like,
We're not talking about Reach anymore.
no, I'm not saying.
No, I think
saying Reach.
it might have been the new update one, but Assassin's Creed always had great cinematic trailers.
Yeah, that was. I mean, you jump off buildings and shit, and you don't splat.
Like released or like coming soon, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Release trailers were so good always.
But in 4, yeah, they You're a Pirate has nothing to do really with the previous 5, I guess it would have been. But it does continue the story of like the ones that came before. There's like ancients and whatnot and blah blah blah. It's not really that big of a thing. It's more like just being a historical setting.
Can you just for a little bit of extra context, can you, for people who aren't familiar with Assassin's Creed, just give a small narrative synopsis, just something simple for people to understand who haven't played it?
So the people that came before, they were the Isu. They're basically interpreted nowadays as the gods or whatever, like Zeus or Jupiter and blah blah blah. The sun shot out a solar flare that destroyed the Earth, and they were trying to protect the Earth before, and they failed. So it's basically like Desmond. He's the not the historical guy, but the modern day protagonist that you play. He's the one that's trying to go around and find Isu artifacts to protect the Earth, and then he dies in the third one.
Yeah.
But
how far off am I saying most of the narrative takes place in the future?
most of the narrative takes place in the past. You rarely go to the modern times.
Okay. So basically you travel back, like you get hooked up to a machine and then your conscious gets sent back in time to
Genetic
assassin.
memory
Yeah.
through your ancestors or whatever.
Okay. Just trying to make sure I added some
But no one
context
really
there.
gives a shit about the modern day stuff anymore.
Right.
I was interested in it until they killed Desmond, but
Don't kill Desmond, bruh.
don't
do it.
kill Desmond.
You can't just kill Desmond, bruh.
But they revolutionized naval combat and Black Flag, and everyone is addicted to that shit.
It was so good.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
It was
That's
so good.
That's why immediately after that, they basically announced they're working on Skull and Bones, which is supposed to be like an online pirate game. It still hasn't released yet. It's been
Sure.
almost a decade.
That sounds awesome.
They're getting to it.
It's gonna be bad when it comes out. It's modern day Ubisoft. It's gonna suck.
Oh, wow.
Awesome. Really hyped now.
But yeah, and then you get more and more games. Like you got a French Revolution. It's just going back in time, basically, and visiting places and killing motherfuckers.
Mm-hmm.
Up until Syndicate, which would have been 2015, 2016. That's that English one during the Victorian times. Then they flipped the script and tried to go all Witcher 3 with it, where they have this big, massive RPG with side quests and open world, like bigger open world. And it kind of just hit a downward slope from there. I played them all, but then Valhalla came out and it was like 60 hours just to get through the main story.
Yep.
That's a huge
And that's
story.
one ending. There's 3 endings.
Wow. That's huge. I mean, that sounds like it's one of the bigger main storyline campaigns I've ever heard of.
Made the most money out of all of them, most because
It's a lot of
microtransactions.
fetchy quests, though, if I know.
Yeah, there's no
remember.
good story, no good story structure. You're lambasted with side activities.
Well, and you are huge into. I mean, you are very much. I mean, for people who have listened to the show, you are very much into like Viking lore and I mean that stuff.
Oh hell yeah!
You love that.
It was kind of cool the first time through, and you're like halfway, you're like, I don't care
I'm
about
so
any of this
sick
shit.
of this now.
Is there a specific video game that beats Valhalla? And I'm not trying to attack Assassin's Creed. I'm just saying if that game has a weak spot, is there another game you're comparing it to?
For Viking shit?
Yeah.
No, not really. There's not a whole lot of Viking games out there.
So it's still the top, even though it's
I guess.
yeah. Woo! Let's go.
Yeah, I got this mediocre
The
shit.
bar is low, but here we are.
Bar is low, but the game is high.
Yeah, now they got 4 announced mobile games. I know.
Oh.
And then one called Mirage, which was supposed to be an expansion of Valhalla, but they just turned it into a full-fledged game, and they're saying it's going back to the Assassin's Creed roots. It's like, no, it's not. We know you're lying.
Yeah.
We've been through enough shit.
Every time a franchise
there's,
is
like-
like, we're going back to our roots, I'm like, yeah, you're just going to grab a character and you're just going to put him next to a new character that's going to keep things
Well, it's a
going.
character from Valhalla in his earlier days, back in the Middle East again.
Yep.
It takes place before 1, the first game,
Okay.
but I don't know.
Old prequel. That's
Yeah.
old-timey shit.
Yeah, it's only going like 20
the
games
roots.
back.
Oh my God. That's old.
There's a fuckload of games. It's the only franchise where I beat. No, it's not the only franchise, but to beat this many games in a franchise, and it's just like you're kind of like, I don't really care about something I loved that much before
Right.
anymore. It's almost like you're doing it out of a. Like, I used to love you, so here's $60. Let me play your
Yes,
shit
here
game.
I am. Like people buying Call of Duty every year.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, for how much I love the Halo story, the Halo universe, and everything in it, I just don't trust 343 Studios to put out anything good again.
No.
You know, I mean, they doubled and tripled down on that show, and it is hot garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And Halo Infinite, I'm sure there are people who love the mechanics in that game, but if you try to convince me that that is a good story addition to the Master Chief like universe, I'm gonna punch you. You're freaking wrong. You're wrong on so many trillions of levels.
I think they tried that with like 5 or whatever to make Locke the new protagonist.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, you don't really need to, but it'd be kind of cool to like get away. Master Chief had his story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't need to.
Don't shoehorn someone in because you want to add the name to the game.
But you have to create
Get
a
someone a new
character that's
story.
just as good or
Yep.
better.
Yeah, you do.
That's fucking difficult when
You
it
do,
comes
and
to
it's
Master Chief.
tough, especially people are so used to like that brand name. You know, it's
There-
tough, but you don't want
That's-
to beat
yeah.
a dead horse.
It's another reason why Ezio in 2 Brotherhood and Revelations was so popular is because he's a good ass fucking character. And once they killed him off and finished his story, they moved to someone else. No one really cared that much.
Right.
But he did have a definitive end. They're not dragging him along.
You gotta have that.
Yeah. They have,
That's why they have the Ezio trilogy, which sold really well.
yeah, when they leave a character off in space for a long time and then they just say, oh, new game's starting, so we're going to find him.
Right.
He
He's-
woke up.
Space Jesus.
I expect them to go back to Renaissance Italy and with a new character, and then you just run into Ezio. Just be like, this doesn't make sense.
No, the Assassin's Creed games, man. Can you tell me is the movie a cinematic telling of the first game, or is it
It's
something
kind of
else?
its own standalone thing.
Okay.
Or Michael Fassbender has a ancestor from, I want to say, the Inquisition, Spanish Inquisition.
That's my favorite Inquisition.
That's the only one I know of.
Same here.
And he goes back to that and does something. I don't know. I watched 15 minutes of the movie. It sucked ass.
Okay, that's a bummer. Love it.
I mean, yeah, there's only a couple good movies that were made from video games.
Yeah.
You can count them on one hand.
A hand. And
Yep.
we went to go watch one not that long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one.
There's one.
Speaking of all the great movies that were from video games, Taylor, you want to
Nice.
talk about Resident Evil?
we're gonna ignore. There's even movies about them.
I don't know how we can.
They're all trash.
All of them?
All of them.
Even the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, seventh.
How many are there?
I have no idea.
7 of them, I think.
I
8?
feel like 7.
Cows.
Wasn't there a new one that was released recently where they're like in the desert?
Probably.
I think the desert one's the 3rd one, bro.
No.
Probably the desert a lot.
No.
I think, yeah.
We're not talking about the same thing then. I'm thinking of something. I'm thinking of something else. But
We're just gonna ignore it.
Go ahead and talk about.
So, my series is obviously Resident Evil. It's had obviously some hiccups in the middle of it, but 1, 2, 3, and 4 are renowned back in the day.
5 is like a meme.
5 is 5 and 6. 5 and 6 are awful. We don't talk about that. But
Yeah, a little
1, 2, and
PTSD right
3,
there.
Yeah, they're like a camera in the corner, like your character's moving around a still screen, because just the technology back in the day wasn't any good. It came out in 1997.
Right.
But back people who played that game said that's what made revolutionized horror and all that. And then 4 came out, and that's renowned as one of the best games ever made.
Yeah, apparently a
Resident
lot of
4.
people like the original 4.
It was so good. I think the remake's better, in my opinion. I mean, it's so good.
Does it? So when you were doing your review and gameplay of Dead Space, Dead Space had a lot of new mechanics. It had some some added story to it. Do they do the same thing with Resident Evil 4?
They kind of make your melee combat more useful, not better, but they make it more dynamic. So you can block a little bit more with your knife, but it's not obnoxious. They make it have a durability meter, so you can't just only use that.
I hate weapon durability.
Yeah, but it's super cheap. The merchant can repair it.
Yeah.
And
I
then
mean,
you
it makes
find-
more sense in a horror survival, but
And then you can find weaker ones in case it breaks. Well, I found a kitchen knife kind of thing. So they have workarounds a little bit for it. And then they have a mechanic where you can block incoming thrown weapons, and it just makes it more fluid and not I'm about to get hit. There's nothing I can do to stop it.
I'm just going to take this one
Yep,
to the
because
chin.
when they throw weapons at you, you could shoot them out of the air, but
then you're just
when
wasting ammo.
When you see something coming at you, you're 90% of the time you're well, it's gonna hit my health. But no, they changed a lot of things around. They changed boss fights. They changed all of them. But that's the remake. The original is really good too. But
So they kind of started to suck ass up until 7 again.
5 was an okay co-op.
It wasn't. Yeah, but it wasn't.
You could sit on the couch with a buddy and play co-op, but it wasn't. It was terrible. So you had.
It was more of an action game then.
Yep, they started turning really actiony, especially 5 and 6. But then they kind of reverted and were like, well, let's not go back to that. And then they switched to first person because the rest of these were in third person.
Was Resident Evil 2 the one that was turned into an arcade game?
Arcade game.
Because I know it was. There's a Resident Evil that was on the Nintendo Wii.
Original one you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure. I think that might have been its own entity kind of thing.
Okay, because there was a game that was on the Nintendo. There was a Resident Evil game that was on the Nintendo Wii, and I guess it was popular. It did well, and it did. Yeah, and then they put it in an arcade. I must have spent. So Colton again. We're referencing him. I wish he'd just come on more. But
have you asked him?
No.
Well,
I wish he'd just take the initiative and show up one day.
Show up one day.
You hear us, Colton?
Yeah, you better be listening to this. Just show up one day.
Show up. No, but Colton and I must have put $40 in an arcade trying to beat Resident Evil, the arcade game, and we did. We got to credits. It was
only
fantastic.
cost $40.
Yep, could have bought the game.
Yeah, was it worth
Played
it?
Forever. What's that?
Was it worth it?
Well, we weren't even on the top 10 for the leaderboard scores, so no.
No, Ass was. There's always a guy named Ass in the top 10.
Ass or butt with one T.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of remakes now, which most have been received really well. 3 wasn't, just because how the Nemesis, the guy who's following you around, worked. It wasn't even because in the second they made a second remake, Resident Evil 2 remake, and the guy walked after you, so you can strategically dodge him if you needed to fight him or you got trapped in a car. You could fight him, but the guy in 3 sprinted. You weren't even faster than him. And he could trip you up, and then you'd have to a cutscene to get off his grip. It's that's horrible mechanics. So
Yeah.
you're this isn't even scary. This is annoying.
You're not scary. You're just annoying
Just
me.
annoying me.
And
Yep.
thinking about other horror games, at least when we were playing Outlast, you were as fast as the fat guy who was chasing you
You're
down the
faster
game.
than him. You
You're
could've-
fast as the fat guy.
Well, he was really fat, and he was really fast. He was really fast, but I'm pretty sure you were faster than him.
I think so.
Or as fast as him, because when he found you, you basically were able to
You
get
just turn
away
around
unless
and
you,
run.
Yeah, or juke him out.
Well, like 7 and 8 of Resident Evil, weren't they like kind of a revitalization of the series?
Yep. They're basically they went to first person shooter, and when it kind of was like way less action, and like the enemies where you had like, you know, a couple small guys here and there, but the 3 or 4 main baddies were basically invincible until you had a boss fight with them, kind of thing. So it's like, this is scary. I can't kill this guy, and I can't waste my resources on him because there's no point.
Just gotta fucking
You just
run
gotta
for
like
it.
hit him once with the shotgun and get past him, kind of thing. Like, you cannot waste all your ammo on him. So it made it more horror than actually action. So
Is Resident Evil a game series that has like a... So for Halo, the original trilogy is the story. That's
Mm-hmm.
the game. And then everything past that is, Bungie and 343 Studios
Yep.
trying to make, or Industries trying to make more money. And, to their credit, they did fine on some of those projects. But does Resident Evil have a set of original story or like a main story?
it kind of jumps around a bit. So like there's like a group of like roughly 8 to 12 characters that jump in and out of games. Like, so Resident Evil 2 has Leon in it, and then Resident Evil 4 does, and then Resident Evil 6 does. So like they have characters that can jump in and out of games because it's more of this is a universe, and then 4 is this story, 5 is this story,
And you'll see
6
these
is-
characters
and you'll
come
see
back.
characters coming in and out. Because Chris Redfield, I think, is also in 1. I know he's in another game.
Who is Chris Redfield?
He's
to
in
the story?
5. He's in the 5th game.
Who is he to the story, though?
He's like one of the. He's also in actually 6 and 7. He's kind of like an agent. So
He's a secret
like
agent, man.
He's like a bioweapons agent. So like a bioweapon that's making all these like zombies and monsters. He'll like get an outbreak and he'll go there and like contain it.
Yeah.
So he's like a big
Okay.
name in the series where he like contains bioweapons and like.
So he probably plays the role of mission dropper, right? Like,
Basically,
gives
he
you
gets
missions.
dropped in like hot zones and tries to take care of it, kind of stuff. So, so it's like a whole big universe, and I like that because you're like, I really like this character. You can jump in and out of stories and play
Well,
your favorite characters if you
And
want.
Cody will have to correct me, but I think as far as total content, I think you have the majority, like a vast amount more content than. I mean, unless you count side projects with Halo, where there's like community projects and like fan base stuff, but
You're talking about like all media
actual
wise.
Yeah,
when releases.
when you count the shows, when you count the games, when you count the side projects,
Well, I think there's like 11 or 12 games for Resident Evil. You know,
Yeah.
there's 0 through 8. There's Revelations 1 and 2. There's.
I'm not counting remakes because
No,
then
that's-
you'd have to say like the Master Chief collection would be remakes, even though all it was a reskinning.
I have 12 mainline games,
I have-
not including the side shit.
Halo has 13.
Holy cows.
Yep.
Mainline games?
Yep. Well, based on so there's the 2 wars, there's the 6 main games, so that's 8. Then you have a couple of mobile games.
No, like mainline on console,
On
big
console.
releases. I'm talking
I
about.
had a list pulled up here.
Otherwise,
so,
I'm probably sitting at like 26.
okay. Yeah. It
Yeah,
says,
you probably would.
so yeah, it says 13. So there's Wars 1,
Wars, Reach.
Halo.
So
Halo
That
Fire
doesn't
Team's a mobile
count.
game. So okay, so at 12.
you're at 12.
Halo 2, ODST.
That doesn't
3.
count as a full release either.
Yes, it does.
It's a 4-hour game.
It's a $60 game.
It was
Yes, so
for
it's a
a
full
week,
release.
and then they're like, everyone hates us.
Halo Spartan Assault isn't.
What is that?
I don't.
Not an actual release.
Fair
Mainline
11.
titles.
Has a 5-hour game on console. It's a console
It's
play.
a console game then.
Yep. Excuse me. Halo 4, Spartan Strike is a PC game. That counts.
You're not getting the main line releases. Of
You
the game,
set
are
the
you?
precedent that it could console. Someone
If it's
said-
console, I'm at like 20. So
okay.
what have we been fighting for?
I thought you said 12. I'm pretty sure you said 12. we'll play
Yeah, I
it.
meant big releases.
I am. If we're excluding the mobile,
They
game,
all have a lot.
If we're excluding the mobile game, then there's 12 Halo main games. And I mean, even the mobile game ties into the franchise story, so it's like none of these games don't tie in. But I'll give you that one. That the mobile games suck. So we're not into it.
You can really say there's a big lore and universe to all three of these franchises.
You
If
really
you
could.
really wanted to deep dive in any of them,
The curiosity
There's a
is
lot
the curiosity
to
is not just saying the scope of the universe, because obviously that puts my stuff in space, your stuff on Earth, and Cody's stuff spanning
In
all
the
of time,
past.
spanning all of time, multiple Earth. But I was more curious about the amount of content as far as like published work.
My
lot for
my
all of
lore
them.
could basically be like study a time period and then throw assassin in there. And then anytime a major character died, it was the assassin that did it.
Is there a Rome one? Is there like a Rome and
Nah,
Fall
there
Caesar
is.
era one?
Not really. It's
what a missed opportunity. That'd be sweet.
yeah. The only one is Origins, which takes place in 40 BC Egypt.
Okay. You
So
get to
you-
assassinate Caesar, and the whole game is leading up to that one mission.
His wife does.
Yeah.
The main character's wife killed Caesar.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That's the main character. She was an assassin the whole time.
She is, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
But yeah, no,
my
you
ideas
get a little, you
just
get,
equal history.
you get a little bit of Rome and blah blah. You deal with Cleopatra. She's really popular right now in the news.
Oh my god, we don't have to go into that, but let's do it. Apparently, Cleopatra was black. What?
Yeah, I don't care what you learn in school. Cleopatra's black. That's what my grandmama told me.
That's
That was one of the showrunners.
oh my. My grandmama told me that Cleopatra was not Greek. What the fuck?
You know she's a descendant of Ptolemy, which was, kicking ass with Alexander.
Yeah, you know that they don't know that, right? They absolutely have no inclination as to that being true. But yeah, Netflix is getting lambasted for that. Apparently, it's like one of the.
Well, they're getting sued by Egypt too, so I mean that's cool. When a whole
How does
country sues you,
That's fantastic.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, that's great. It's like,
I mean, yeah.
I mean, if anyone, I mean, Netflix just won't stop failing. And
I
it's
kind of want to piss
beautiful.
someone off so bad where the government sues you.
That's pretty good.
It's been done.
Yeah.
Apparently by Netflix. If we get big enough, we could do that.
We could do it.
Like,
That's on our bucket list.
leave a comment if you want us to be large enough to get sued someday, and then like the video, subscribe to the channel.
By a
Challenge
country.
accepted.
Yep. If you want us to get sued by the government someday, we're gonna need your support in the
Yep.
comment section. Let us know. All right.
And then we'll do a poll to pick the country.
So as we're kind of winding things down in this episode of the War Room, I kind of just want to shout out kudos to. I think what we should do is we should shout out each kudos of each other's franchise, just so that I hear more great things.
No.
What?
Yeah, I want. So like yours would be.
I'm not known
Fantastic
for
Four
this.
games. I know. That's why I'm like. It's another thing I'm great at.
Taylor, I haven't played a single one of your games. All your movies suck, and so does the TV show.
That's
Yeah.
actually better. Let's shit on each other's
But
ideas.
the remakes look all right. They actually kind of want to get me to get into them,
They're pretty fun.
but I'm not into horror games and shit. I'm just not.
That's why you got to go play 6, the best game of them all.
Start with the shitty one and work your way
it's
up.
only uphill then.
All right, my turn. Assassin's Creed is insanely stupid.
You're saying human
the
history
prem-
is stupid?
Are you saying human history is not stupid?
I mean, it's kind of
It
stupid.
kinda-
I was like,
The more you dig
turn
into
your
the
question back on you, sir.
the more you dig into the French Revolution, the more you're like, we kind of got a little out of hand there.
Like, our history is filled with memes. Like, one of the great, like, one leader was executed by the people for saying, "Let them have cake." Like, that's a fucking meme. Like,
No, it was more of her husband not feeding the populace. But
yeah, but I mean, "Let them eat cake" is funny.
yeah.
It's a very one. It's if you're gonna die, that's
I mean,
a
I
one-liner.
don't think there's any proof she ever
There's a
said that.
one-liner to
But
that too.
only all the testimony ever.
someone
from
was just
people
like,
who
"Hey,
weren't
did you
alive
hear what
then."
that bitch told us?" So we strung her up.
What even is "let them eat cake" in French? I don't know.
I don't know, just add an
Voulez-vous
accent to
coucher
it.
Probably
avec
sounds
cake?
terrible.
But yeah, Assassin's Creed history is stupid. Time traveling history is really silly.
It's not time travel. You can't change past events.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just viewing it. It's not like you have an active role in it.
Yeah, but I mean, who wants to see the past? I mean, haven't we seen the past enough? Let's just forget about it. Let's
Forget
just
the past. Kill it if you need to.
Yeah, kill
Yep.
it. Nuke the past from orbit.
From orbit.
All right, guys. You guys can shit on Halo now if you want to.
I don't need to. Your franchise does the speaking for you.
Yeah, 343 and the TV show kind of just took the big dumps on you anyway.
Oh yeah, the
Got
TV
him.
show.
We got him.
The TV show is bad. Yeah, it really is. If you guys want me to be doing recaps of the Halo Season 2 of that show when it comes out, if it comes out, I think it might have been canceled, then let me know in the comments if you want me to do a
it's
recap
one of those.
that show.
It's always one of those where they're like, "Oh, it did so well. They were coming out with another season." Then a couple months later, they're like, "We canceled it."
What show?
It's like a whisper.
And they slowly
It didn't
purge it from
happen.
all platforms so that no one remembers it exists. But yeah, we are opening up the channel to doing some recap videos. So if you guys do want to have us reviewing certain content as it comes out that you are too afraid to watch, let us
We
know.
do have a couple movies that we'll be doing.
Yep, that'll be fun. We are going to be doing
I think the next one that comes out is Flash next month.
Flash will be interesting. Then there's
We're gonna
the
go see that and review it.
we're gonna do recaps of what was it, Rings of Power, or did we say no to Rings of Power? What was the
God.
show?
I'm not fucking doing Rings of Power.
House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
House of the Dragon.
House of Dragon.
No.
We'll do House of the Dragon.
I just
and
watched our video.
if there's enough demand for it, I'll do Rings of Power recaps. But I'm gonna need some
People
love.
would want you to suffer, so that's a yes.
I'm gonna need some love in order to be convinced that
You
that's
have to
worth
pick
doing.
up drinking.
We'll probably do
my
Mission
gosh.
Impossible. That one's coming out this year.
That could be good.
2.
Oppenheimer, obviously.
Oh,
Ooh,
that
I
one
do
comes
want to
out
see
soon,
that
too.
movie.
We are
July.
going
So we got 1 June, July, and
Yeah,
then
it's
later
soon.
in the year.
soon. Oppenheimer's gonna be great. I honestly,
It's gonna be really good.
I want to get 100 subscribers off of the Flash review that we do, because that'll be the only way to make that worth it.
Yeah.
It'd be-
it would
What
be
if we
the
like
limit.
it?
If we like it, what are you saying?
We're not
sir?
doing a video if we like it.
If we do a video, we're just gonna put
start
a
off the
community
podcast.
note.
It's like dead silence
Who
for like
are
a
we?
minute, and they're like,
Who have we become?
I think I actually kind of liked it.
Ezra Miller is the goat at acting. Fuck.
Did you see that headline where it's like, the Flash movie will make everyone forget about Ezra Miller's crimes?
I saw that story.
Oh.
What?
No, it won't.
No, it will not. First off, he's in it for what, 15 minutes?
That had to be a good fucking movie.
Very short intro. We argued about this
like
in the last episode. Why
Weinstein-
we couldn't just have him why we couldn't just have the 15 minutes he is in it, just recast and film it over. It's
Yeah,
15
shoulda.
minutes.
That's
just
like
do it
saying
with new
it's like
actor.
saying Weinstein put out a movie so good you'll forget all about the Me Too movement.
Oh my god, that's fantastic. But I mean, Epstein's Island was pretty nice.
Great golf course.
Great golf course. The merry-go-round was fun.
Putting balls in holes, people.
We are very fun here. We have good times. But I think we'll call it there. And we'll wrap up this episode of the Third Party Podcast. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. This was a fun one. I actually really enjoyed shitting on everyone's stuff.
Yeah, we all did a good job.
But but we will be putting out a poll
Don't
in the
break
future.
your arm jerking
Comment in
yourself off.
Throw a comment down who's you thought won this week's episode of the video game franchise. If you have your own franchise that you think is better, post that in the comments. Let us know.
It's Animal Crossing.
It's Animal Crossing.
I don't know, I had a lot to pick from too, because like Mass Effect I really love.
Mass Effect's
good.
Dragon
great
Age I
universe.
like.
That's
Not
good
as good as
too.
Mass Effect.
I mean, we're not saying that there's not other stuff out there. Every time we do these war rooms,
Yes,
people
we
are
are.
like, well, what about this one? I'm like, yes. Why don't you throw that in the comments and remind us that's a thing? It's
like
fantastic.
what I had like that like what 12 like mainstream ones. It's like $60 a pop. It's like that's how much money I've spent on this franchise, not including all the in-store stuff.
Yeah, right.
Well, the this one will be a good one. We're gonna put up polls on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube. So tune in there to cast your vote, but let us know in the comment section which one you thought was best. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel, and share it around with your friends and family. And we will see you guys on the next one.
Yeah, fuck Halo.
Yeah, I agree with Cody.
No, Halo is the best. You
Team up.
want to like Halo. You
All right.
need to like Halo.
Yeah,
Or the grandpa gets it.
go dog. Or I kill the dog.
Don't do that to you. All right, guys. Peace.
Peace.
Fuck Halo. What the fuck?